Story 1. Free speech. How do you feel about the president tweeting about musicians? He tweeted and threatened Bruce Springsteen with trouble when he attempts to re-enter the country, while also commenting on Taylor Swift's appearance. Story 2. Bruce has had to watch his own Born in the USA be used by warmongering politicians who do not even understand the irony for years. I think he knows what he is talking about. Story 3. If singers, actors, sportspeople, influencers, religious leaders, rival politicians, and teachers can't say these things, then who can? Are they not people too? Story 4. Considering the Trump campaign played his song repeatedly during rallies, I think this is completely fair. Story 5. In my home, the America I love, the America I have written about, which has been a beacon of hope and liberty for 250 years, is currently in the hands of a corrupt, incompetent, and treasonous administration. Tonight, we ask all who believe in democracy and the best of our American spirit to rise with us. Raise your voices against authoritarianism and let freedom reign. Bruce Springsteen, May 14, 2025. Story 6. Bruce Springsteen has been one of the most famously affiliated and adored musicians among blue-collar workers in America for decades. Incidentally, this is the same population that went from loudly supporting unions and taking pride in their backgrounds to buying vast amounts of merchandise that supports Trump, who is the epitome of what Springsteen has always opposed. We genuinely need more celebrities, long admired and with a large fan base, willing and able to engage with that demographic and help them reconsider their views. Story 7. In response, Trump called him a dried-up prune. But prune juice shall set you free, as the saying goes. Story 8. It's called free speech, and there are valid arguments for Donald Trump being labeled as corrupt, incompetent, treasonous, and authoritarian. Story 9. How do we feel about the number of iconic Americans who have not yet criticized the Trump administration for being corrupt, incompetent, and treasonous? Story 10. Springsteen is correct. Obviously, he is rich and famous, but he has been an icon for the working class for decades. There is a certain set of working-class conservatives who have disliked him for years and see him as a communist. The Dixie Chicks were correct, too. So was Green Day both times. Story 11. Why do all artists, except Kid Rock, hate us? It is the artists who are wrong. This administration. Story 12. Remember, the Republicans used Born in the USA as a campaign song while never listening to the verses. Story 13. I fully support what he said. A small part of me wishes he had made this statement on American soil. I was outraged when the Dixie Chicks criticized George W. Bush, and it caused significant damage to their careers. However, for the boss, I think there is no harm done. Story 14. Is there some bot farm just typing up, how do you feel about insert latest news story? Why don't we get some real questions in here? Stuff that makes people think. Story 15. If people like Ted Nugent and Kid Rock can express their political views, why can't Bruce Springsteen? He's an American and has the right to share his opinions. Story 16. He is right. It is that simple. Many of us knew that Donald Trump was a corrupt criminal before he even campaigned for his first election. I was stunned that anyone would vote for such an obviously dishonest conman. It turns out that there are many people in this country more interested in hurting others instead of helping themselves. Story 17. He spoke his truth and is entitled to do so under the First Amendment, one of the beauties of our Constitution. Story 18. This is why Trump told Springsteen to be quiet. Springsteen told the truth, and nothing an authoritarian or an ignorant person likes less than the truth. Trump is both authoritarian and ignorant, so it is twice as bothersome to him. Story 19. There is nothing more American than criticizing the political class. It was so important to the founders that they protected that right in the Constitution. Story 20. I completely agree with what he said. It's surprising that more leaders aren't expressing the same sentiment. We are currently in a dictatorship but are unwilling to admit it. Wait until he fails to step down in the next election cycle. That's when we will definitely know. Story 21. The person is simply stating the obvious at a time when too many individuals are afraid. The response from Trump made it even clearer that he is correct. Story 22. People who think that is out of character are the same ones who believe that Rage Against the Machine wasn't always anti-government. Story 23. I agree with him. Even if I didn't, he has the right as an American citizen to speak out against the president. He made no threats, so no law has been broken. Story 24. If they are allowed to use Springsteen's music to support their rallies, then Springsteen should be permitted to comment on their politics. Story 25. Every American should recognize this. Bruce Springsteen has demonstrated he is a true patriot. Anyone who supports the former president is acting against American values. Story 26. Nail on the head. It is what a lot of us have been saying and more for a long time. But we are not as well known as Springsteen. Story 27. He describes Donald as authoritarian. What does Donald do? He mentions something about being out of the country in a veiled threat. Story 28. Every American with eyes and ears should speak up. In fact, I predict a general strike will result from this. Story 29. It's almost as if he has been openly expressing the unspoken truth since day one. Born in the USA is not a shallow patriotic song. Story 30. He is exactly right. I remember the singers during Vietnam speaking out and facing backlash from the government. Trump thinks he can disregard us and that we will remain silent. Story 31. The administration is clearly corrupt, incompetent, and treasonous. I see no issue with someone exercising their right to free speech. This individual is an icon, although I do not typically enjoy his music. That is simply a matter of personal taste. He has an audience and a platform, along with a well-known protest song that critics often overlook as a commentary on the country. He is doing what he does, and that is his right. Story 32. I believe the president is afraid of anyone who is more intelligent and more popular than he is. It is an embarrassment to the country, and he should be removed from office and replaced by a competent and mature leader. Story 33. Yes, as others have stated, why is the truth so annoying to people? Bruce told it like it is. Unless you are delusional, you don't have a problem with what he said. He is shining a light in the dark corners, and the creatures in those corners are becoming irrational. Bruce knows. Story 34. Springsteen has always spoken out against authority. This time, it's an especially bad one. There's nothing shocking. You either agree or you don't. Story 35. Trump and his supporters often fail to recognize the contradiction in criticizing him, while simultaneously supporting other celebrity figures like Kid Rock or Ted Nugent. They voted not once, but twice, to elect a celebrity who many believe should have remained outside of politics. Story 36. Considering that Trump's response was to say Bruce shouldn't be allowed to speak until he entered the United States again, and that if he attempted to criticize Trump while here it wouldn't go well for him, I'd say Springsteen accurately captured the authoritarian aspect and arguably all the other accusations as well. Story 37. About time someone with a huge platform calls out the obvious challenges our nation has become. I wish the rest of Hollywood would do the same. Story 38. I believe the president dislikes the country and is the greatest divider it has ever had. Good night, America. Story 39. Good. Maybe some of my relatives will finally listen to someone saying that Trump is not a good person. Story 40. Trump is a criminal, a scam artist, and a dishonest individual. These are facts, not opinions. Story 41. I will tell the truth and nothing but the truth. They did. Trump is corrupt, a criminal, someone who will likely try to ruin the world. Story 42. I feel good about it. Trump is a corrupt authoritarian undermining Western democracy with his greed. The more people call it out and stand up to it, the better. Trump belongs in a jail cell or worse. Story 43. It is our duty to call out this oppressive regime loudly and regularly. This is the worst period this country has ever experienced outside of the era of slavery. The current leader poses the greatest existential threat to global stability since Adolf Hitler. Art has always been a symbol of resistance, whether acknowledged or not. I would never purchase a Springsteen album, but he is a quiet hero for using his platform to denounce these violent and oppressive individuals. Story 44. Spot on, really. The boss is rallying the music industry, while De Niro is rallying the actor guilds. Bring the pressure from all directions. Story 45. Right-wing country singers had no trouble attacking Obama and Biden, so this should not be a problem for anyone. Story 46. Republicans, especially elected officials, often express the most offensive, dangerous, and divisive rhetoric and seem surprised when people call them out for their harmful behavior. Bruce Springsteen uses his platform to voice his concerns and state the obvious. I have no problem with that at all. Story 47. He speaks truth to power. I have always been a fan of Bruce, and my opinion of him has just increased once more. Story 48. Truth is truth, and it is supposed to set you free. America is the land of the free, right? Bruce was born in the USA, so yes, I feel good about it. Story 49. I wonder if this will finally get Trump to stop playing Born in the USA at his rallies. Probably not. Story 50. Musicians have been calling out presidents since the dawn of America. What I don't understand is how Trump supporters do not see how insecure he comes across in his tweets. He somehow manages to bring up Joe Biden to complain about him even more. He still hasn't gotten over his defeat in 2020. Does any other nation's leader do this? Go on social media to complain about celebrities who do not like them? It is really insecure. I thought the president was supposed to have an attitude of, who cares what you think? I'm the leader of the free world. But no, it really gets to Trump. Story 51. Did no one listen to the lyrics of Born in the USA? Bruce Springsteen has always been about that life. Story 52. I feel like he is correct, and all of this concern is notable after the GOP has been actively rewarded for saying much worse about Democratic administrations. Story 53. Bruce Springsteen hit the nail on the head with his opinion. Kudos to Mr. Springsteen for speaking out. We need more individuals like him. Story 54. Everyone is entitled to their opinion. When an opinion can be backed up with evidence, it deserves respect as it is not just a gut feeling. Corrupt. The Zelensky phone call. Congress had already ordered the executive branch to take action. Trump was trying to obtain something extra from Ukraine before fulfilling his legal obligations. Incompetent. Numerous court cases have shown that Trump does not understand how the United States government is supposed to function. Treasonous. January 6th. The speeches given and the inaction for hours suggest that one does not need a conviction to believe Trump incited the riot. Authoritarian. Referring back to the court cases, there have been refusals to follow court orders. Some prominent individuals have indicated they would not comply, which undermines the authority of the courts. Not complying with a court order is authoritarian as it seeks to nullify the power of the judicial system. Story 55. After learning about the Epstein case and reading through it completely, I now understand that the Trump administration is corrupt and treasonous. The same can be said for all administrations before and those that will come after. Story 56. I would say that Trump is a reflection of how troubling a significant portion of the country is. It truly represents a group of individuals who decided that a convicted felon should be president and granted him power once more. Story 57. I think Springsteen and others who call out Trump and his administration are heroes to democracy. These corrupt politicians and their destructive actions require citizens to respond, and those with large platforms have the most to lose. It takes courage to speak out, and I applaud that courage. Story 58. It is nice that artists use their voices to express their thoughts. More often than not, artists are relatively pacifist or at least sensitive to the suffering of others, whether through their empathy, imagination, or other means. Story 59. If anyone is shocked at Springsteen calling Trump corrupt, incompetent, and treasonous, then they have never read or listened to the lyrics of his songs. He has been calling out people and politicians like Trump his entire career. Story 60. To prove Bruce wrong, the Trump administration threatened Springsteen for exercising his right to free speech. Story 61. I have always loved the boss, and now I love him even more. Most people in the arts are liberals, and they should use their platforms to call a fascist what it is. Story 62. They are correct, and I wish more people would realize this and start taking it more seriously, especially the opposing party. Currently, I am concerned about the lackluster response to totalitarian behavior, a lot of rhetoric but not much actual resistance with a few exceptions. Story 63. The truth hurts. This is an accurate description of the current state of affairs. He has been threatened by the current administration for expressing his opinion, something that used to be legal to do. Story 64. Sadly, he is correct. Springsteen's political views differ from mine, but he accurately identifies the dangers Trump poses to the country. He has made his fortune and can express his opinions freely. If that costs him some fans, he will be just fine. He has already made his money. For those of us who are still working, raising children, and saving for retirement, it is more challenging to speak out. Therefore, I appreciate individuals like the boss who can speak freely without financial repercussions. Story 65. It is good to see someone holding him accountable. I hope more members of Congress and the House begin to do the same. Too few are speaking the truth. Story 66. There is nothing controversial about stating the obvious and exercising constitutionally protected First Amendment rights. Trump is authoritarian, corrupt, incompetent, and unworthy of power. Story 67. People have the right to express their opinions, and I am not judging anyone for their political views. I would still like them even if they think differently than I do. Story 68. Bruce is well-informed and always has been. I am not a fan of using a music concert as a platform for political commentary, but an American, especially one with a strong sense of awareness, might want to clear the air when starting a concert overseas, just for preemptive solidarity. I am fine with this in this case. Story 69. I don't really care for Bruce's music, but he is right to say the Trump administration is corrupt, incompetent, treasonous, and authoritarian. Story 70. Springsteen has been one of our great truth-tellers throughout his entire career. I do not expect him to stop now. Story 71. Trump is doing more for his continued popularity than when he first burst onto the scene with Born in the USA. Story 72. As a Jersey girl, I'm more a Bon Jovi fan than a Springsteen fan, but he is a really great guy and completely correct. Story 73. I am in the United Kingdom. I am glad he said it because it is true, but I am concerned about the backlash. Still, people do need to speak out. Story 74. Spot on. Good job, Bruce. If only more people spoke the truth instead of being afraid of retaliation by Donald Trump. Story 75. I feel great about it. It's entertaining to see a talented musician speak their mind. Story 76. It's good. The same individuals who are upset by a celebrity using their platform and voice in opposition to their leader had no issue when others like Robert Ritchie criticized Biden, Bud Light, or various other topics. Story 77. People are just now realizing what the man's political leanings are. It has always been really obvious. Story 78. Springsteen has been calling out the hypocrisy of the American dream versus capitalist reality for 50 years. Why should he stop now? Story 79. Happy that he has the courage to speak the truth. If only the Republicans in Congress had Mr. Springsteen's backbone. Story 80. I've never heard it said better. Springsteen, to me, is like the bookend of American folk music, the logical conclusion to Guthrie. I can see Woody Guthrie with his hand on Springsteen's shoulder. Story 81. It is completely unsurprising. Springsteen has always been politically outspoken and progressive. He has endorsed every Democratic presidential candidate since 2004. The only reason anyone might think that he wouldn't openly despise Trump is if all they knew about him was that he wrote a song titled Born in the USA, and they believed it was a patriotic song rather than a disillusioned lament about a Vietnam veteran being abused by the system. Story 82. The boss was being nice. There are many more descriptive adjectives he could have used, but they could not be printed in family-friendly media. Story 83. It is interesting how many people's responses are, I don't listen to anything famous people have to say, or, they should keep their mouth shut and stick to music. Why does fame somehow invalidate a person's opinion? Being a famous celebrity is what they do, not who they are. They are still thinking, feeling humans and a part of our society. Speaking their opinions should be encouraged. just like it is for all of us. Springsteen's opinions are no less valid than Kid Rock's, regardless of which I happen to agree with. Judge the substance of their words, I say, and not the social status of the speaker. If it's an issue of honesty, look at the person's record. Also, do your own due diligence on the subject and verify your own sources before denouncing an opinion you disagree with just because a celebrity said it. Story 84. I believe that the freedom to criticize the government without fear of reprisal is a cornerstone of our country, enshrined in the First Amendment. Whether it is Bruce Springsteen criticizing Donald Trump, the Dixie Chicks criticizing George W. Bush, or Ted Nugent expressing his discontent about Barack Obama, they can say whatever they want. Having said that, I support Bruce. Story 85. It feels like someone is expressing the same thoughts I have, but on a larger platform. Fame does not make him incorrect. Story 86. Please see multiple Trump meme coins. Please refer to the Department of Defense head telling numerous friends, family, and a journalist about plans or attacks, and then lying to the media about it within the day. Please refer to the events from late 2020 to early 2021, where Trump and his lawyers attempted to reverse the election results. He is currently expressing his grievances on social media as if the Democrats stole that election. Everything Springsteen said seemed quite straightforward to me. Story 87. What do you think about calling a spade a spade? The American people should be able to look at their leaders and express their opinions, especially when they are speaking the truth. Story 88. The same individuals condemning Bruce and suggesting he should not discuss politics are the same individuals who admire Kid Rock for being straightforward. Story 89. Really? You have to ask? As a European growing up, I think we all felt a little in the shadow of and somewhat inferior to America. Sure, we could tease them about their very short history, claiming we have universities older than your country, and look down on a perceived lack of sophistication and social grace. However, at the end of the day, the United States was big, welcoming, a melting pot, and appeared just fair, democratic, and on the road to creating a society they could be proud of and which the rest of the world could envy. The artist seemed to personify that spirit, culture, and ideal. While you could criticize his music, you couldn't take issue with the message it conveyed. He sang about social issues and the American way of life because there was a feeling that people would listen and things would get fixed. Now, though, it feels like the fall from grace and social justice is rapid, extensive, and irrevocable. When Bruce and other artists call it out, it reinforces just how bad things are, confirming that it's not merely a misconception on our part. When their leader issues thinly veiled threats against what were icons for America and the American dream, it sends chills through every right-thinking person. It tells us that those artists feel a sense of dread, concern, and frankly embarrassment, but that they may be speaking to closed minds and deaf ears in their homeland. We, the rest of the world, should be concerned on their behalf. Story 90. Everyone should use those adjectives when describing the Trump administration. I am simply glad that at least a few credible individuals are finally voicing this loudly enough to be noticed by those being described. Story 91. Musicians have the right to voice their opinions, and people can decide if that affects their choice to continue listening to their music. Story 92. What's amazing is how quickly supporters of the Make America Great Again movement turn on Bruce Springsteen. Having adored him as an American music icon for decades, they will readily abandon their opinions to cling to whatever Trump's latest outburst tells them. Story 93. I feel like it's spot on and actually the responsible thing to do if you have the ability to reach a large number of people. Bruce Springsteen is on the same musical branch as Woody Guthrie, Bob Dylan, and others, where one of their main objectives was the protest song. "This machine kills fascism" was scrawled across Woody Guthrie's guitar. The protest song was one of the main purposes of early folk music, and Bruce is undoubtedly part of that. He has the ability to reach the entire world, and he should use that for something as important as the state of America right now. Story 94. He's not lying, though. The fact that he tells things as they are and doesn't bend the knee makes him even better. Story 95. Can we ban these rage-baiting posts from AskReddit? There's already so much discourse on the Trump administration in political subreddits. I don't feel like reading yet another post asking, "How do you feel about the thing Trump did?" Story 96. Many influential figures are keeping a low profile. Bruce Springsteen faces a unique dilemma, as he has built his persona on being an advocate for the working class and humanism. I appreciate his words, but I want to see an elite take a risk they do not need to take to thwart the authoritarian fascist takeover in this class struggle, initiated for the benefit of the powerful. Story 97. It doesn't matter if he is iconic, popular, or wealthy. If he is an American citizen, then the First Amendment applies, and he can express himself freely. No one has to like it, agree with it, or silence him. Bruce Springsteen and Kid Rock can express themselves freely. The rules apply to everyone. Story 98. The boss speaks the truth. Those who need to hear it the most will not listen, unfortunately. There is no one so blind as someone who refuses to see. Story 99. A part of what Springsteen said that I keep seeing liberals overlook is where he criticized all of our political leaders for not protecting people, including Democrats. He didn't just launch an anti-Trump rant. He had a very accurate and nuanced perspective on our current political situation. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.